أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم مصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. Before I begin the discussion about the soul, I extend my congratulations to all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, for the blessed and auspicious birthday of our great Imams, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, and also for the birthday of Hazrat Abul Fazl al-Abbas. I pray to God the Almighty to give us the success to truly follow these supreme personalities. And inshallah, we will be a good follower for all of these great Imams and great personalities. Now, let us continue our discussion about fighting against the soul, against the nafs, nafsul ammara. According to what we had before, we said that according to the teaching of the Quran, man has two categories of enemies. If you categorize, if you put all the enemies of the human being, according to what Quran gives us information and teaches us, we have two categories of this of enemy, which we need to be more careful about these two enemies. As it's mentioned, we had these two, inner or near enemy, and the second one is outer or far enemy. These two types of enemy, day and night, they are working against the human being, against the man, and they are considered as the worst enemy. And of course, among the inner enemy, if you remember, we were talking about the inner enemy. We said that the worst inner enemy of man is nafsul ammara, which always commands towards the evils. So we are going to discuss about the nafsul ammara and its role regarding our life, and of course what we have to do regarding this nafs. As it's mentioned in the Quran, Surah Yusuf, verse 53, it says, وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي إِنَّ رَبِّي غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Yet I do not consider my soul was innocent. Surely the soul incites to evil, except to whom my Lord has mercy. So in this ayah, clearly Allah tells us that this nafs incites to evil, commands to evil, and always push us and give us or force us to go to the evil things. And it doesn't mean that if we accept his command, he said, okay, thank you very much, you accept my order. No, he will continue. He will not going to be say, okay, I'm full enough, so I don't want you to follow me more. Always, day by day, night by night, minute by minutes, second by second, always is looking for us to put us in a trouble. And of course, it's been said that according to the emphasized religious commands, the awamir ilahiyya, awamir mu'akkad, emphasized religious commands, we are asked to fight against this nafs. So fighting against this nafs is one of the most important duty of the servant of Allah, the servant of God. So in very clear words, we can find that according to many verses of the Quran, many riwayah, we are asked, not only asked, we are forced to fight against this enemy, against this nafsul ammara. And again, also when we define or we explain about the fighting against the soul, against the nafs, we said that it doesn't mean that you have to destroy the nafs, because we need this nafs. We are not going to destroy the nafs. So if we are not going to destroy this nafs, so what is the fighting means? Fighting against, normally when we talk about the fighting of somebody or fighting with something, the easiest meaning is just to destroy your enemy. When you're fighting with your enemy, like for example, now you're fighting with this coronavirus. So this is considered as an enemy. When you're fighting with this enemy, it means you're going to destroy it. By destroying this enemy, you are going to save your life. So is it the same thing? Means that are we going to destroy the nafs, then to be safe, then to be to rescue our soul, or not? In this case, again, we mentioned that it doesn't mean to destroy, but it means to control the nafs, to put the nafs under the authority of intellect, under the authority of aql. Means wherever your aql wants, you allow nafs to go. Whatever your aql allows you, you allow your nafs to do or to think or to say or to like eat or to drink or whatever. Everything should be under the authority of your aql. So, in other words, the meaning of fighting against the nafs means being able to bring your nafs under the control of your aql. Means aql is the one has full authority against these nafs. So whatever aql wants, take him. So if that is the case, it means truly you were able to fight against your nafs. So if that is the case, if fighting against the nafs means having your nafs under your control, so this cannot be one like a periodical job. It's not like a one-time job. It's going to be like a very constant job. In other words, we can say, to put it more clearly, we can say controlling or fighting the nafs, it's not a project. It's not, but it is a process. Means it takes time. You know why? Because whenever there is a chance, whenever there is a favorable condition for your nafs, favorable condition to go for some good things, like for lust or for many good things which your nafs, wishes to go there. Wherever there is a favorable condition for the nafs, like the case of the lust, nafs will arouse. Nafs is arousing. Okay? When nafs is ready to go this, in that time, if you have no control of your nafs, maybe your nafs goes to do some certain things which it's not in a good interest of the servant of God. Because nafs always, they might occur, they might do some certain things which it's not like the good for the servant of God. That is why man must always, I repeat this one, man must always be ready for confronting the sensual desire and inner emotions. In other words, sensual desire requires constant attention. Constant attention is really required. Not only you say, okay, today I was able to fight against my nafs, so my responsibility is finished. I am like totally, I'm the winner, so I have no any problem. We are not just like the Prophet. The Prophet says, yes, I put my shaitan, you know, everybody has their own shaitan, even the Anbiya. According to the Riwayah, Prophet says, I put my shaitan under my control. So he is able to say, I don't need to fight anymore. Although he is fighting with the nafs always. As you know, in the Riwayah we say, every day the Prophet used to recite istighfar at least 70 times. And people, they used to ask him, what is this for? You are ma'soom. Why you are reciting so many times and too many times istighfar? He said, لا يغان على قلبي. There will be some dust, there will be some problem on my qalb, so my qalb is not clear anymore, so I need to polish this qalb. So it means even the Prophet needs this kind of like job. So if that is the case of the Prophet, so what will happen to us? That is why we say fighting against the nafs is not a periodical job. It's a very constant job. So we have to do it every time, every minute. We have to think that something is going to happen against me, against my interests. So if that is the case, we are going to follow like Imam Ma'sumin alayhim salam. In the case of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, we have this hadith that Imam after Dhuhr prayer, after every Dhuhr prayer of himself, he used to ask Allah, oh Allah, Ilahi la takilni ila nafsi tarfata aynin. Look at to this hadith, look at to this dua actually. Imam Sadiq, he says, every Dhuhr prayer, you know, Dhuhr prayer is one of the most important prayer. It doesn't mean that the other prayer is not important, but when Allah in the Quran mentioned the prayer regarding the salawat, it says salawat, when Allah is mentioning the time for the salawat, one of the most important time which is mentioned in the Quran is salat for Dhuhr. So salat al-Dhuhr is so important. According to this hadith, Imam always, after his Dhuhr prayer, he says, Ilahi la takilni ila nafsi tarfata aynin. Oh God, don't leave me alone even for 1 second. What does it mean? When you say don't leave me alone means, if, oh Allah, if you leave me alone, so there is no any guarantee for me just to be able to fight against the nafs. Even you can see the story of Prophet Yusuf. It says, Illa ma rahima rabbi. He said, oh Allah, if you don't bless me, if you don't show your mercy upon me, there is no any guarantee that I should be away from the sin. So that is why we have to be very careful in this case. We have to take it as a constant occupation, as constant job, as a continuously job. Not to say, okay, today I've done my job, I fight against the nafs, so I'm free today, so I can go to do whatever. So this is another plot of the nafs. Nafs say, yes, you are free, you are the winner, you are the winner, so you are free. So then I'll be happy. Then this is the meaning of ghurur. This is the meaning of arrogance, takabbur. When you say, okay, I am the one, I was able to win against the nafs. Again, another problem will start. There was a time 2 men went to the masjid, and these 2 went to the masjid, and after some time, both they came out. It was told to one of the Anbiya or one of the awliya, definitely supposed to be awliya, because when we're talking about the masjid, we don't mean the masjid which only Muslim have, it means the prayer room. Okay, so either was one of the awliya or one of the anbiya, Allah informed him that these two, they entered to the masjid while one of them was for the hell and another one was for the Jannah. But when they came back, it was reversed. The one who supposed to go to the hell now goes to the Jannah, and the one who's supposed to go to the Jannah now is going to the hell. Why? Because the first one, the senior one, when he entered to the masjid, entered the prayer room, he thought that, oh my God, I spent all my life, but I did not fulfill my job, did not fulfill my duty. Now he felt that he's going to do tawbah, so he did tawbah. But the other one, he was proud of himself, and he said, yes, look at this person spending all of the bless of Allah, the bounty of Allah, but still he is using for the sake of sin, for the sake of guna. So he was proud of himself. This is the consequence, and Allah forgave the other one and asked the angel to put him to the hell to see there is no any place, any space for any servant of God to be proud of himself if he thinks that he is the winner. So this is the example for all of us, that we have to be careful that if something happened to us, it means we are under the control of Allah. So we have to think that this fighting against the nafs is not a one-time job, it's a continuous job. Nice. Now we are going to discuss about the most important way to fight against the nafs. According to the scholars of ethics, ulama of akhlaq, this struggle has different ways, one of which is self-purification. So tahdhibun nafs, or self-purification, is one of the most important way for the fighting against the nafs. And I think we discussed a little bit about this. The self-purification and cultivation have 3 stages. So it means if you did not fulfill, or if you did not cover the first stages, you are not going to be able to go to the second stages. If you are not you did not cover the second stages, still is not the time for the third stages. So we have to start from the first. So the first stages, it's according to ulama of akhlaq, is the stage of takhliya. So the tahzibun nafs has 3 stages respectively. Okay, so the first stage is the stage of takhliya, or we can say the evacuation or self-refinement stage. Evacuation or self-refinement stages. Marhalat al-takhliya, that is called in Arabic, there's takhliya. The second one is tahliya. Again, tahliya, we are going to explain this one. The stage of tahliya is like the in English, it's a beautifying or adornment stage. Beautifying or adornment stage. And of course, the third stage is tajliya. So we have takhliya with kha, we have tahliya with ha, and we have tajliya with jim. Tajliya, the third one is tajliya, which is exposing religious practice. The purpose of tajliya is to enable man to perform religious act as much and as good as the holy lawgiver, Shari' Muqaddas, asks. Okay, so in the stage of tajliya, man should be able to perform all of the religious action which is considered religious commands, or the a'mal, in Arabic terms we can say a'mal. So in the stage of tajliya, a man should be able to perform all of the a'mal as much as Shari says, as good as the lawgiver says, means the Prophet says or Allah says. So we have a stage of takhliya, we have the stage of tahliya, and we have the stage of tajliya. So a salik, the one travels towards God, needs to pass all these stages respectively, one by one. So directly he is not able to go to the stage of tajliya. You know what? I'll just give you one example. If a person, he doesn't, his heart is full of the evil things, okay? I'll give some example. And if he doesn't have any fada'il, so it means the heart is full of rada'il and the heart is empty from the fada'il. So if he just perform lots of salat and lots of zakat, lots of good action, do you think it's working? A person, I'll give you an example. A person who perform salat every day, but when it comes to backbiting, when it comes to jealousy, when it comes to stealing, when it comes to flattery, when it comes to different things, his soul is full of this bad things, contamination, spiritual contamination. So is it accepted, this prayer? So this prayer will work? Definitely it's not working. So it's better just to start step by step or stage by stage. That is why we say, according to ulama of Akhlaq, they say we have to start from takhliya. Again, we can give another example. In the case of La ilaha illallah, first you say La ilaha, means you remove all the ilah, then you say illallah. Then is the turn for Allah. Means if your heart is full of other ilah other than Allah, so there is no any space for Allah. La ilah. So first you have to clean all the area from other ilah, then you have to go to Allah. So this is the meaning of takhliya. So according to what ulama of Akhlaq and the definition of evacuation or Akhlaq, they said evacuation means to cleanse the inner, inside of yourself, the batin, from spiritual contamination. From the spiritual. That is, in this, in the first place, and as an evacuation, a person must cleanse his existential vessel of sin and impurity. As long as our existential dharf or vessel is full of impurity, there is no any chance to go for practice. Even if you practice, it will not help you. I give you an example. If a person, if his smell is very bad, if a person, because of the dirty thing which he drinks, or because of the bad thing which he drinks or he eats, it's full of bad smell. If he goes to to a shop to buy some new clothes, these new clothes will not help him that much, because easily after a very short time all this dirty will come back to him, because the inside still is dirty, because the inside still needs a cleanliness. So a man in this case should cleanse his existential vessel of sin and impurity in order to be able to enter to the next stage, which is tahliya. So we need first tahliya, then we are able to go to next stage. Now, if you remember, we just mentioned that a person needs to clean his inner from the spiritual contaminations. What the meaning of the spiritual contamination? So you may ask, you ask me to cleanse my inner, my batin from radha'il akhlaqi, or spiritual contaminations. What do you mean by like a spiritual contamination? I just want to mention some of this. Of course, when you're going to find spiritual contamination, you will find a lot, because we are human beings. We are like dealing with all of this, and this spiritual contamination is the one that make it prevent us to know God, and prevent us to deal with the good servants of Allah, and always make trouble for us. So now just give you some example of these spiritual contaminations. The first, which is very important, selfishness. Selfishness is really is one of the radha'il akhlaqiyya. We have to put in our mind. So all of the problem, according to the some hadith, hubbun nafs or hubbud dunya ra'su kull khatiyya. According to the hadith, hubbud dunya ra'su kull khatiyya means the head of all of the problem, all of the mistake, all of the bad things which human beings are going to deal with. This is hubbud dunya, means the love of this world. And of course, the love of this world, it's because of the hubbun nafs. It's because you love yourself. In other words, so selfishness is one of the radha'il. So as long as our inner it's fully covered by this problem, there is no any space for any other things. So we have to remove this selfishness first. I'm not going to discuss about all this, but just to mention. The second thing, humiliation. You may think, what kind of contamination is this one? Humiliation. If you see in one of the words of Imam Hussein alayhi salam was hayhat min al-dhillah. Hayhat min al-dhillah. What does it mean? It means Yazid put me into two options, either to accept this or to accept that. Both is kind of humiliation. Either I have to take hand with him and shake hand with him and to do bay'ah allegiance with him, or I just be get a safe life for my the rest of my life. Say hayhat min adillah. I am so far from humiliation. So being humiliated, it's a very low desire and very bad or spiritual contamination is going to consider. And many of the problems which nowadays the human being are facing with, encountering, it's just because of the humiliation. People, they are not proud of themselves. They are not kareem enough. They are not kareem enough. If you see in some certain case, when Allah asks people, when Allah wants people to be avoid from the sin, they say, okay, oh man, you are like a servant of God, and then remind him that you are not an ordinary person. You are from this area. You are from this community. You are from this generation. Just want to inform him that you are not a little person. You are not a ordinary person. Just to make him away from committing sin. Okay? I'll give you one example, then you will find it. If you have a very nice clothes, okay, very suit, and completely like clean and new design, and everything is perfect. And of course, it's white. If you are walking around, and if in case if it's like raining, you are so careful that somebody will not go and a car will not go and splash the water because the clothes will be dirty. Why? Because you feel you are somebody. Your clothes is somehow clean, so you are not careless about this. The humiliation is like that. Humiliation tells you, in other words, tells you that you are nobody. If you are nobody, you don't care about yourself. Allah wants us to remove this Hawza Ilmiyya, remove this contamination, spiritual contamination, and impurity from us. And of course, another one is flattery. Some people, they come to you and say, oh, you are good, you are so and so. So this is because of the flattery. We should not, or sometimes we go to some other people. We have to remove all this. Of course, we have to respect each other, but respecting each other is different than flattery. Pride and vanity is another problem. Pride and vanity. Anger, because I'm going to mention some other things. So anger is another. Of course, we need this anger. If there is no anger, there is no any way, there is no any possibility to fight against the enemy. Of course, we need this anger. That is one of the reasons which we said we are not going to like destroy the nafs. If we are going to fight against the nafs, we are not going to destroy the nafs because we need this. One of the potential of the nafs is anger. If there is no anger, we are not able to fight against the enemy. If somebody put you in trouble, if there is no anger, so there is no any potential for you to fight against. So we have to have anger. But this anger should be under our control, should be under the control of, under the authority of your aql. And another one, I don't know, this translation is good or not. In Farsi we say bi ghayrati. If having no ghayrah, I say without protective jealousy. Of course, jealousy is bad, is one of the spiritual contamination. But sometimes protective jealousy, probably it's good. Ghayrah, it's good. But having no ghayrah, again, is another. Now you can see, for example, male and female, they are mixing with each other and without mahram and ghair mahram. All of them, they're mixing and they don't care. The wife doesn't care about what happened to the husband, and the husband doesn't care what happened to the wife and to the children, brother, sister. All of this having no hijab is as a consequence of having no ghira. So this is another problem. And unfortunately, nowadays, our own community, a Muslim community, are going to be in contact with, and they're going to be faced with this problem. God forbid, inshallah, we will be able to save from this problem. Backbiting and hypocrisy, nifaq, despair of God, disregard to right and wrong. This is one of the important things. You know, sometimes we have to be careful about what is right, what is wrong. But sometimes, if we don't care, if there is something right, we don't care. Something wrong, we don't care. We are thinking only about our own life. If that is the case, this is one of the raza'il. So we have, in the stage of takhliyah, we have to remove all of this. And of course, no fearing of God, jealousy, and lying, ignorance, or another thing, benevolence for God's enemy and malice for God's friend. Some people are like this. When it comes to the God's enemy, they are so friend with the God's enemy. And whenever this regarding the God's enemy, I mean, regarding God's enemy, they are so friend, and regarding God's friend, they are so malice. That is wrong. In the Quran, we say, Muhammadun Rasulullah, وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ أَشَدَّهُ عَلَى الْكُفَّارِ رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُم. If we are أشدّهُ على like Muslim and رُحَمَاءُ مَعَ الْكُفَّارِ, if we are like this, it means our heart still in the under the authority of our enemy. So we have to be able just to cleanse our inner from this. Now that we have become familiar with some of the contaminants of the soul, the concept of purifying and cleansing ourselves from spiritual ugliness is better understood. Now we understand a little bit more. We understand more about this like problem. In that case, we can say, so it can be said that the seeker of Allah, the salik, to travel toward God, at the stage of takhliya, must exert all his efforts to rid himself of these ugly traits and find a chance to gain spiritual virtues and beauties. So if we are able to run away from the first stage, then it's the time to go to the second stage. In other words, I can read this one. In other words, as long as the putrid swamp of sins is not dried, means as long as this putrid swamp of sins is not dried, the beautiful and fragrant flower of moral virtue and high human values will not be cultivated in the community's garden. This is like a kind of saying which we have to put in our mind. Now, so we understand that nafsul amara is the most important, the worst enemy of us. And again, we understood that we have a responsibility to fight against this nafs. And we have understood that through the hadith and through the Quran, through the teaching of the ulama of Akhlaq, we understood that if you're going to fight against this nafs, fighting against this nafs means putting the nafs under the control of aql. And we realize that fighting is against the nafs has three stages. Stage of takhliya, evacuation, then stage of tahliya, beautifying, adornment, and then stage of tajliya, means going for good action. Now, we are going to, we started just, and then I gave some example of the spiritual contamination. Now we are going to know the different ways to struggle with the nafs in the case of takhliya. If we are going to do takhliya, what we have to do, from where we have to start. In other words, we can say after the salik, which means the wayfarer or mystics, has realized that his soul is contaminated with spiritual evils, and that this impurity prevent him, from reaching God. Means this impurity, it's caused lots of problems, so he is not able to reach God. He has no choice but to look for a way to be able to remove all of this ugliness. There is no choice. Because already we know all this problem is there, so we are going to go towards God. We are not able to go towards God unless to remove all of this ugliness. In fact, the philosophy of writing and publishing all of the books on akhlaq is just to show the salik this, to show that the Salik, this, to show the Salik this way and to structure, to tell him what to do. So in other words, the philosophy of all of these Akhlaqi books, or books who is written in the Akhlaq, just to show where to go, what to do, when to start. So in that case, ulama of Akhlaq recommended two basic approaches in this regard. So it means we have to go for these two, we have to have these two approaches. One, removing existing contaminations. So we have two jobs to do. The stage of Takhliya, there is two jobs. Without these two jobs, there is no any chance for us to purify our heart. So first, removing existing contamination. The second one, preventing the entry of new contaminations. I'll give you an example of this virus, which nowadays all of us, we are busy with this, we are dealing with this. First, those who have this virus, we have to find a way, we have to find a solution to remove all this virus from the body. As long as the virus is the body, and as long as the body is not able to fight against this virus, there is no hope. But the second job, those who have no virus, but still there, and in the case of receiving or getting the virus, so in that case, it's highly recommended now by every authority. They ask us just to follow the structure, to obey the rules and regulations regarding the hygiene, regarding many things. Why? Because this is somehow preventing the entry of this new virus. So we are talking about the virus is going to attack our soul. Sometimes our soul is occupied by lots of virus, lots of spiritual contamination, and sometimes it's not. Wherever there is such a virus, we have to go for takhliya. We have to go for evacuating. And wherever there is no, we have to prevent the entry to receive new contamination. So according to this advice of great ulama, so we have these two approach, and of course according to the advice of Imam Ali alayhi salam in this regard, he said the first step in removing the contaminations of the soul is to think about the consequence. You may ask, okay, I want to travel to Allah, I want to go, I want to be arif, I want to be a salik ila Allah. What should I do? We said that the first stage is takhliya. Then you're going to say, and the ulama of Akhlaq said, okay, when it goes to the takhliya, you have to do two jobs: removing the existing contaminations. The second one, preventing the new contamination to enter. So now I started for the first to say what we have to do. Imam Ali alayhi salam said the first step is to think about the consequence of this. For example, if you have selfishness, if you have the problem of ghiba, if you have the problem of jealousy, if you have the problem of disregarding regarding to right and right, and we have all of this spiritual contamination which I mentioned some of them. If we have this, Imam says you have to sit and you have to think about the consequence of all of this, to see if I'm going to one of the cases like this, you can sit and you can think, okay, whether I like or not, this life will be finished. 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, 60 years, 100 years. End of the story, I'm going to receive the result of my action. If it's good, going to be the reward, a good reward. If it's bad, going to be the bad reward, the punishment. I'm going to receive it. So you can think on it. Okay? Then you will think again that at that time, according to what Quran said, according to what Riwayah said, nobody is going to help me if I did not make a situation for somebody to help me. Yes, of course, we believe in shafa'ah. But in Quran say, مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. Even Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Imam Ali alayhi salam, the Prophet, even Quran, they are not able to do shafa'ah without the permission of Allah. But who is the one to be able to receive this permission? If a person whole life is doing everything against Allah, is there any space for him? Is there any chance for him to receive this permission that Allah says, okay, oh Hussein ibn Ali, you go and do shafa'ah for this? Of course, Allah will do many things. We don't know. We don't want to judge, but we have to think that if we are waiting for shafa'ah, we have to do some certain things. We have to, perform certain action. So we have to prepare certain things for our future. So that is why Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, the first effect, the first step in removing the contamination of the soul is to think about its consequence. And of course, we know that the first ta'asir or effect of moral illness in man, according to what we can find, is deprivation of happiness. This sort of illness, contamination is considered as illness. And Allah called these people like a marid. في قلوبهم مرض. See, in Quran say, in their heart there is marad. So all this which I mentioned, this spiritual contamination, in Quran is considered as a marad, as an illness. So if a person is sick, it means it's not happy in his life. You may have heard this ayah. The ayah says, those who are, they did not listen to the advice of Allah. Allah put a lahum ma'ishatan dhanka. Okay, ma'ishatan dhanka means a very depressed, very pressed form of the life. Means although they have lots of things, they have cars, houses, money, whatever they want, they have, but they are not happy with this in this life. Or in our experience shows that those who have this kind of illness in their life, they will have experience of unrest in this world. They are not, feeling in rest in this world. And of course, a very painful hereafter is waiting for them. So if we are thinking about consequence of this kind of illness, first, in our life we are not in rest in this world, we are not in a fully rest, and then a painful hereafter is waiting for us. This is the thing which Imam Ali alayhi salam always asks us to think. And of course, according to the riwayah, according to the hadith, if you go and check the hadith, you will find at least in some riwayah, at least the recompenses and reward for the contamination in God's eyes is in excess of 60 years of worship. Means if somebody think for 1 hour, this 1 hour is equal to 60 years of worship. So this is the importance of and contemplation, like tadabbur, like tafakkur. And of course, if you go and check the story of the history, at least I can give you the history of Hurr ibn Yazid Riyahi. Okay? Hurr, he was one of the, like a commander of the Yazid, of the Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. But through the instrument of contemplation, tafakkur, he was able to ascend from the lowest degree of the hell to be able to come to the highest degree of the paradise, the heaven. So this is the result of the thinking and tafakkur. So contemplation is the basic reason for the reconciliation of millions of sinners with Allah. So nowadays you will see at least every day millions of people, they do tawbah. So how do they do tawbah? So you know that tawbah, it's the basis of the tawbah is thinking. People, they think, oh my God, why I should do this, why I've done this. Then they think more and more and more, and then they do tawbah, they are regret and they repent and they go for the tawbah. So therefore we can say whatever provide a chance for you to think, you have to take it serious. Thinking about your action, thinking about your responsibility. And of course in the Quran, the great slogan of the Holy Quran is for guiding of mankind is through using of the tools of thought and completion. أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أو أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها. Is it that they do not think about the Quran, or are their hearts sealed? So it means either according to this ayah, either we are thinking about different things or our heart is sealed. If heart is sealed, it's going to be just like this. Summun bukmun umyun fahum la yaqilun. I gave this example to some of the brothers and sisters while I would give it lecture. I give you again here. If in case, I'll give you this example. So you just think about this. You just imagine a bottle, like a water, a bottle of the water. If you just close the door of this bottle, or a can, can you imagine a can for the drink? It's an empty can. Can you imagine an empty can? And it's sealed from both sides. And put it in the ocean. For millions of years, if it's there, even one drop of water cannot go in. Why? Because the both side is sealed. When the both side is sealed, means although it's inside the water, but even one drop cannot go. Our heart is like this. If it's summun bukmun umyun fahum la yaqulun, means if our heart is sealed, even if we are in the ocean of the ma'rifah, ocean of the knowledge, ocean of the light of Ahlul Bayt, we are not going to receive it because the heart is sealed. Quran says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Some people, they went to Ayatollah Bahjat and asked him, is it possible for a non-mu'min is it possible for us to see Imam Zaman alayhi salam? And he said, even worse than us, they were able to see the Imam Zaman. You see, Abdullah ibn Muljam, Abdul Rahman ibn Muljam Muradi is the qatil, the killer of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He was able to see him. Shamr was able to see Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So these people, they were able to see their Imam. But seeing the Imam, only watching the Imam is not enough. Because the qalb, if the qalb is sealed, means you are in the ocean, of the knowledge, in the ocean of the ma'rifah, in the ocean of the bliss of your Imam, but there is no any space to enter. So that is why Imam Ali alayhi salam asked us, and in other words, force us to think about the consequence of this Razail Akhlaqi, this problem, this contamination which is in your heart, and then think on it. After you thought, then there will be a chance for you to remove all this contamination. And of course, when you remove this, the second responsibility is don't allow any other to come. And of course, we ask Allah to give us success to be able to follow the structure of Quran, to follow the teaching of the Quran, to follow the teaching of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and to be able to be successful in our fighting against our nafs. And inshallah, Allah will help us to be a good servant of Allah. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Yes.
Dear Sayyid, thank you very much for your speech. Is it necessary to have a teacher when purifying the soul, or is reading and acting upon the texts enough?
That's a good question. Of course, because this is a kind of learning, because as I mentioned here, if you are going to fight against your enemy, you know how to fight. So you know, you need first how to fight, and you need what to get as a instrument, as a tools for this fighting. So that's why. So that is why we need some kind of information. And of course, now through different Akhlaq books, the books on which is written on Akhlaq, we are able to go for self-study, but sometimes learning in Akhlaq, somehow you need the which we can say the breathing of the ustad, the teacher, the nafas of the teacher, and of course the advice of the teacher is more useful. But if there is no any such a case, if there is no any chance for somebody, at least we can benefit from the Quran and from the books. And of course, the most important things is thinking, and always think about the consequence of our actions.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sayyid. The next question is fasting the best way to fight the nafs?
You cannot say fasting is the best way, but it's one of the best ways. There are too many ways that help us to fight against the nafs, and of course fasting is among the best. And of course, because fasting is somehow increase the level of ikhlas. For example, if somebody is fasting, no need to tell somebody that I'm fasting, no need to inform other that is fasting, and no need to say anything, no need to do anything, just is doing his normal thing. So this increase the level of ikhlas. That is why they say fasting is so good. And of course there are many other things as well. But as I mentioned here, even if somebody's inner batin is full of this spiritual contamination, full of razail, so fasting is not helping him. So he has to clean the heart, and then with the clean heart he can jump to the second stage. And of course, fasting can be a instrument, can be a tools for cleaning.
Shukran, Maulana. The next question is, Jazakallah for the lecture. Could it be possible that a person is unaware of some of his own contaminants? If so, how to identify these?
Of course, some of us, because of the ghafla, negligence, we are not aware about the problem which we have. some of this contaminant which I mentioned, definitely some of us, we think we don't have it. If we think we have, we try just to fight against this. But this is the way that shaitan, or the way that nafs try just to hide this problem. Because if we know that we have this problem, definitely we are going to remove this problem, we are going to solve this problem. So one of the things which we have to think about that, and we have to get somehow, we need to have a ustad, we need to have a teacher, is that some of this problem we are not able to realize. Like the case of shirk, we have these hadiths, they say, if you want to know the role of the shirk, or the importance of the shirk in your life, sometimes you can imagine like a little insect or ant and a very high big rock in the middle of the desert in the midnight. And if this ant is working on this rock, and can you hear the voice of his working? I mean, nobody is able even to see this. Nobody can see even the rock. They say the shirk is sometimes is more khafi. Khafi means it's. I mean, you cannot be aware of this. Yeah, of course, it's not easy. The valuing and self-love, it's very close to each other. But to see, there is like a, we can say, criteria, me'ayar here. If you love yourself for the sake of God, for example, you want this, you want this sort of things because you think, I'm going to eat this one because I'm going to be safe, I'm going to be able to pray, I'm going to go for the masjid, I'm going to do this, all this sort of things, it's because of Allah, then it's not like a selfishness. It's kind of helping yourself to go towards Allah. But if you love yourself only because you love yourself, because of yourself, no, I mean, you can't find any trace from Allah, so in that case, it's not accepted. So it's not easy, of course, I agree with you. As I said, even today, I read the hadith of Imam Ali alayhi salam. First, every action which we do, or whatever we do, or whatever the bad contamination, the bad radha'il, contamination of spiritual contamination we have, whatever, we have to think about its consequence. It's the result. We have to think on it. So by thinking, then you are able to realize, or thinking is the cause for awakening. If you remember, if you go and to read some of the Akhlaq books, they put the first stage for a salik is the stage of yaqza. Yaqza means awakening, okay? So why we are able to be awakened, okay? The best way to be awakened is to think about our action. This thinking tells us or leads us to be awakened. And if we are awakened, then the next step will start. We have to go either through an alim or through a person who can help us, or through many things. So the first thing, as Imam Ali alayhi salam, he mentioned, it's just to think about the consequence of your action. And of course, there will be a lot of the result comes after. This part of the munajat is one of the best part of the munajat, and Imam Khomeini always used to recite this. And I'm afraid I can't do tafsir of this, because the whole tafsir of Akhlaq, means the whole Akhlaq books, are going to give the result of the akhlaq will be this. Habli kamal al-inqita'i alayk. Means, at least I can say, in this dua, you're asking Allah, okay, give me a chance to be like disconnected from everybody, everything. So we are able, so in that case, or according to this hadith, it's we can say that is it possible? It is possible. It is possible for us to be disconnected from everything and everybody, then to connect with Allah. But we are not able, except we pass these three stages. Stage of takhliya. So if our like inner, our batin is full of this radha'il, this spiritual contamination, there is no kamalul inqita. Even there is no inqita, means still we are connected with this. First we have to start. So in other words, Allah yahabli kamal al-inqita, the very simple meaning of this means, oh Allah, give me a tawfiq to be able to pass the stage of takhliya, and then being able to stage of tahliya and tajliya, inshallah. No, thank you very much, and inshallah, hopefully we are, all of us, we are blessed in this month, and especially we are waiting for the birth anniversary of our beloved Imam Zaman alayhi salam. Inshallah, with this bless, we are going to get our Eid, and inshallah, this problem will be solved among the whole human being, inshallah.